Thank you, that worked well. Can everybody hear me back there in the back? My name is Shane Cook, and I'm just great to be here today. It's be here with the Lions Club once again for the football banquet. We appreciate such a great turnout. I know everybody's ready to get back to school. Had a couple of days off. You're all fired up, and so maybe we'll send you back with a bang here. But we're glad to see such a turnout tonight, including the weather. And proud to be here with the Lions Club. This is part of what we do. We help the football banquet, but we help people with eyesight problems to get glasses and several different things in town. But we're always proud to be able to help the football team and to put on this banquet every year. I look around, it was 30 years ago today I was here getting to go with football. Boy, it didn't seem that long, but it comes and goes. This is a great tradition that we have for our football team. And as you get older, you'll look back on this and you'll think great things about it. You'll have a lot of good memories. While we got some people finishing up, we're going to go ahead and welcome our guest speaker. Our guest speaker was born and raised just west of us here in Lamar County, pretty close to Mississippi, right over there in Southern. He used his good athletic abilities, or his great athletic abilities, might I say, pull himself up from his bootstraps, and played many years for the Blue Devils in his hometown. He was so good he got to go to college, Auburn University, in 1976. Played 4 years at Auburn, still holds several records, including the most consecutive games with 100 yards rushing. After compiling more than 3,300 yards for the Tigers, he was the 29th person taken in the 1980 NFL Draft by the Buffalo Bills. In his first year as a Bill, played in all 16 games and rushed for over 1,100 yards on his way to being named the AFC Rookie of the Year. He also started in his first Pro Bowl. He was the main back for the Bills from 1980 to 1983, and he led them in both rushing and receiving yards. He then came to Birmingham to play for the USFL Stallions, where he led that league in rushing with 1,467 yards. He returned to the NFL, where he played for several teams, including the Bills, the 49ers, the Colts, and the Dolphins. His stats for his 8 years of service in the NFL, he had 5,356 yards rushing with 27 rushing touchdowns. Had 2,199 yards receiving with 15 touchdowns. He was named 3 Pro Bowls in all, and he's inducted to the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame in 1991. After his career, he's been working in the insurance industry. Most important fact is that he's a husband to Vanessa for 38 years. He's also a father to Aja, Omar, and Nigel. But the best thing we've been talking about was he's also granddaddy now. He has one grandchild named Ray. So I think he's more proud of that than anything he's done so far. But I'm proud for him to be here, a great fellow. I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Joe Cribbs.
Thank you. And by the way, it's Rhea. I got to get that name right.
I told you I'd miss it. That's one of them.
That's all right. That's all right. But you got all the others right, so that's good. Well, good evening, and I want to say I'm really excited to be here. For me, this is about as close to being at home as I guess I can be without actually being in Sullivan. Always excited about coming to Northwest Alabama, and even though we were concerned about whether or not I was going to be able to make this trip with the weather issues, and but fortunately things cleared up just in time, so everybody should be fine. I understand that you guys have been out of school for a little while, so got to get back in into that normal routine. A little bit about me. Well, first of all, let me say this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you guys, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about me in addition to what's already been stated. And at the end, I'm going to give you an opportunity to ask me specific questions, about my life, about my career, if you want, because I think that would be good to do it that way. But I am, as already been mentioned, from Sullivan. And Sullivan is a, it's over in Lamar County. I think it's 2 counties over from here. And, I was born there and grew up there. I actually got introduced to sports through my brothers. I have 2 older brothers. They were 9 and 11 years older than I am. And, they pulled me out real early in life. And I was kind of known as the guy who evened up the teams. If they were playing basketball, or if they were playing baseball, whatever they were doing, and it wasn't enough guys, they would always even it up by having me come out and play. And I was always the last guy picked, so because I was the smallest. But we went on. We would do this over a period of time, and pretty soon it got to the point where I wasn't the last one being picked. I was actually the first one being picked. So they really worked at me. But my older brother, I really have to give him a lot of credit for some of my athletic skills and some of the development that I had during that time, because he was a good athlete in his own right, mostly football and baseball. And I can remember every summer we'd have a youth league. In our youth league, he would coach baseball, and I can remember him wanting me to play third base, and he would hit the ball to me, grounders to me, for like hours. And he would stay on my case because he did not want the ball to get into the outfield, baseball, I was decent at baseball, but it wasn't my thing. All I can remember is after every practice session with him, my chest, my arms being all bruised up and beat up from, stopping the ball from going into the outfield. Because if I let it go into the outfield, he'd get upset. But they really pushed me. Both of them did. So by the time I got to Sullivan, because my first 5 years of school, I didn't go to Sullivan. I actually went to a school called Todd. And but in the 6th grade, I started going to Sullivan, and I got exposed to the first organized football program. And I think I was like maybe 10 or 11 years old, and was playing organized football. And there was a rule, and I'm sure it probably still is, that you have to be a certain weight to play at, whatever age you are, you have to be a certain weight to play. And I was borderline, and I played running back, and I was pretty big early. And so we were playing this one team, and I remember I had scored like 3 touchdowns in the first half, and we were winning pretty good. And the coach for the other team asked the officials to weigh me because they felt like I was overweight. And so they took me in, put me on the scales, and I was 1 pound over. And so they took my scores off the board, and for the rest of the game I had to play on the line. I played right tackle. It is the only time that I've ever played a position other than in the backfield. I played on the line for that one game, and then the coach petitioned the league for me to play the rest of the season at running back, and that worked out. But that was kind of my introduction to organized football. Now, as I started to play, as we moved up to junior high and started to play, I started to find my footing, you might say, in football. And at Sullivan, we had some great moments there. With I think Coach Ernest was the coach of the varsity at the time when I was there for a few years early. But our junior high football team was really good, so they decided that they would pull me up to the varsity, and I was 7th to 8th grade, and we were traveling. They made the playoffs that year, and I was traveling with the varsity, and I felt like I was, oh, this is great, you know. but I didn't really play. But after that year, they put me on the varsity permanent, and I started to excel, and things just seemed to happen. I mean, football, as they say, was good to me. I mean, I was a very good football player. We had a very good team, and my cousin and I were kind of like the two main players on the team. And we went right on through high school. We had some great games against Haleyville back in those days. I can remember a couple of games where it was nip and tuck, and I think we played one year, and my memory, it's been a long time, but my memory tells me the score was like 21-20, and I think we won. But it was one of those kind of games, just back and forth, just a great football game. And you know, we had a good team, but what really changed my game and really my focus was when Ralph Ferguson came to Sullivan. Ralph Ferguson was about a 6'5", 6'6" guy. He was my high school coach, and he had this big barrel of a gut, and when he talked, he had this raspy voice. He's kind of like the typical stereotype of a football coach. You think of this look, and I can remember he'd always had kind of gap in his front teeth in the front, but he came to Sullivan my sophomore year, and he said, you know, he told me that, well, actually he told me and my cousin, James McKinney, that we were going to be the focal point of the football team. And he would take us to like Hibbett's up in Florence and get us new equipment, like new shoulder pads and helmet, and all the other guys would have the older stuff. So a friend of mine asked us, what is Sullivan's colors? Y'all got them. It's the multitude of colors. There's blue, there's light blue, there's sky blue, because we had all these different colored jerseys on. It was kind of funny. But Ralph was a great coach, and I can remember we were talking earlier, there was one game that we played, and Sullivan is small. Obviously, everybody knows that. And I think on my senior year, I think we had 26 guys, or 20-something, low 20 guys on our football team. So as you guys know how that works is that you don't really get a chance to lead the game that much. You're out there playing if you're a starter. And usually you play in offense, defense, and special teams, and never really get a chance to lead the field. So we were playing this team, I think it was one of the teams in the Jasper area, Carbon Hill or Cordova or something. But we were playing, we were up pretty big. And Ralph called me and James over to the side and said, hey, we're up, let's get this game over with. I don't want you guys to score anymore. So he said, we were like, looked at each other, don't score. He said, don't score anymore. Let's just run the clock out. So we get the ball back, and on the first play, James, he's the quarterback, he calls us just a regular dive play, just a straight dive. So I'm thinking I'm just going to run in here and let him tackle me. So he opens up, gives me the ball, and it's just wide open. I mean, before I know it, I'm in the secondary and thinking about, oh, I got to score. And then it kind of hit me. You know, Ralph told me not to score. You know, Coach Ferguson said don't score. So now I'm trying to figure out what am I going to do. So, and all of this is going on like really fast, like seconds in my head. I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I can't do that. I can't stumble and fall. I'll look foolish if I do that, so I don't want to do that. So I decide that the best thing to do is to go out of bounds. So I'm in the middle of the field. So I make a hard right turn and head to the sideline. And then I'm thinking as I'm going to the sideline, well, I might as well get as much yardage as I can without scoring. So I turn up the sideline and go all the way down to the 1 yard line and then go out of bounds. And Coach Ferguson, that's another tie. He was all over me when I got to the sideline. He said, "What are you doing?" And, you know, I thought I did exactly what he told me to do. I didn't score. And but I remember playing that team the next year, and they were focused on one thing, and that was just stopping me. They didn't care about the score. They didn't care about what anybody else got. They just wanted to make sure they shut me down, and they did. You know, so I kind of learned a little lesson from that. But my high school career was pretty good. I got to say, you know, I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to Auburn University, and you know, because of my football ability, I was able to get a good education and you know, an opportunity to later on to play professionally. But the main thing I remember about when I was deciding on where to go to college was I wanted to stay within the state, and I wanted to play for a team that I could have an impact on, and so it really was only two schools really to decide. And I decided to go to Auburn because number one, they were not a good football team. They were down, and I thought, you know, in my crazy way of thinking is that, hey, you know, I can be the difference maker. I can go down there and we can win. You know, and everybody knows that football is a team sport. It takes a team to do that. But I decided that I would go down there, and it was pretty tough because I went down there with this attitude that I'm going to start and I'm going to play. And they know I can do this and they know I can do that. So I go down there, and the first, I'm a freshman, and I'm practicing with everybody else. But as we approached the opening game of the season, they announced the traveling squad. And you have to understand that when I went to Auburn, my first cousin, he and I grew up, James McKinney, he and I grew up together. We were more like brothers than cousins. He was my quarterback in high school. He got to Auburn. We went to Auburn together. We roomed together when we first got down there. And we were very close. We talked all the time. And for as long as I can remember, we've always done everything together, even from youth league all the way through high school. It's always been A and B. It's been A and B. It's like I was 1A, he was 1B all the time. I was just the hair better. I mean, just the hair better. I mean, in basketball, just the hair better. He played the point. I played the forward. And he'd bring the ball up, pass me, I'd shoot the ball. You know, it was like, he's a quarterback. He'd give me the ball, I scored a touchdown. But at Auburn, they announced the travel squad, and I didn't make it. He was on the traveling squad. And I was like, oh my God, you know? And so I'm really confused because I think I'm good enough to be playing, to be on this traveling squad. So I can remember the first game, it was against it was against Arizona State. And it was the first game my freshman year, and I know exactly where I was. I was back here in Northwest Alabama in Fayette. Sullivan was playing Fayette on a Friday night, and I was there with my uncle, and we were watching a high school football game. And the team that I had to sign with were in Arizona, getting ready to play football Saturday. And I had to answer so many questions about why I was there and not with the team. And it just gnawed at me. I mean, because I felt like I did not do the best I could do. And I didn't play as hard as I could play or practice as hard as I could practice. So anyway, my uncle, who is kind of a wise man, he saw I was kind of going through some stuff. So he said, you know what? He said, you need to just suck it up, and you need to go back down there and show them who you are and how you can play football. And that's what I did. I went back, and my attitude changed. I was not taking anything for granted. I basically knew I had to work and earn everything I get. So I went back with an attitude of like, every practice for me now is a game. So I would get taped up, I'd get spatted up, I'd get all my padding on, and it was like a game. And I can remember a lot of the, we would go, I was going against the first string defense, and we're servicing them, we're running the scout information for them, while the first string offense is working against the scout defense. So the offensive coaches are over here with the offense, the defensive coaches are over here with me. And so I'm going 100 miles an hour, everything I did. If I could get 5 yards, I got 5. If I could get 15, I got 15. And I would not give up for anything. And I just started that type of work ethic. And before I knew what was going on, the starting defensive players were getting upset with me because I was making them work. I was actually making them work. And so they were saying, slow down, you don't need to be doing that. I said, I'm gonna slow down when I'm over on the other side of the field with the first string offense. And so I just kept working. Eventually, one of the defensive coaches told the offensive coordinator and the head coach, Coach Barfield, they said, your best running back is over here running scout team for us. And I don't know what happened, but again, I guess they talked, and the next thing I know, I'm on the team, I'm on the traveling squad, and I'm playing in my first game for Auburn. And I never will forget it. The first game, I wasn't in the backfield, but I was on kickoff return. And the first time I touched the ball, I went 62 yards, just like it was yesterday. I went 62 yards and would have scored a touchdown had I not ran into the official. He ended up tackling me. But from that point on, everything changed. Everything changed. I finally realized what it takes. Nobody's going to give you anything. You got to go out and earn it. You got to work hard. I don't care what it is. You got to go out and earn it. And from that point on, my career started to go up, started to take off. And I was really thankful that my uncle had lit that fire under me, and that I had went back and did what I had to do. But from that moment on, the rest of my years at Auburn were fantastic. I mean, I ended up leaving Auburn with just about every record a running back could hold. I didn't know that we were going to get Mr. Bo Jackson come down a couple of years later, but he broke a lot of them. Brooks broke a few too, but I still, like you said, I still have a couple that haven't been broken, and that's been 30 plus years, 40 years ago. So I'm still kind of proud of that. I'm still in the top 5 in rushing at Auburn history. But anyway, that was what changed my career. Somebody lighting that fuse, and I got excited about it. So now I go, I'm feeling great. I finished my career at Auburn, and I'm thinking about an opportunity to play in the NFL and play professionally, and you know, once again, things creep into your mind, and I'm like, oh man, I got a chance to get drafted. I mean, for a little kid that grew up in Sullivan, that, man, you know, I was raised by a single mother, 2 older brothers that just beat him up every day. You know, I was kind of excited about that opportunity, and I thought I was going to be like, first pick. You know, I'm like, yeah, they're going to pick me. But anyway, so we go to the draft, and I was told by Bobby Beathard, who was at the time the general manager for the Washington Redskins, that he told me, he said, Joe, if you're available, we come up with our first pick, we're taking you. So I'm, you know, I mean, they're pumping my ego. I'm like, okay, that's great. So I'm excited about that. So we're in Auburn now. The draft is nothing like it is today. You know, the draft today is a big show. It's, you know, it's pomp and circumstance. Back then, it was guys who thought they were going to draft it would set up. They might have a camera crew in their apartment or at the dorm or at the athletic facility, and they would have like a couple of local sports guys that would be there to shoot it. And so that's what happened to me. I had this camera crew, had a couple of camera crews in my apartment at Auburn, expecting to be a high pick, you know. And so the draft starts, and I never will forget this, because Billy Sims was the first pick of the draft, and Billy was a running back, played at Oklahoma. Billy and I had the same agent, by the way, so we knew each other real well. And so I was happy for Billy, but I was like, man, I'm gonna be next. And it didn't happen that way. There was like 5 other running backs taken before me. I was so disappointed. I had all these people in this apartment, you know. Now, I gotta say now, I was the 29th pick, which is still a great honor. You know, if you look at the 29th pick, that's still a great honor, but I thought I was gonna be higher because of what they had told me. And so when they went through the first round, back then they only had 28 teams, they went through the first round, I was like, get out. I wanted everybody to leave. But I was taken to the next pick. Now, when Buffalo called me and said they were going to take me with their next pick, I was excited and happy that somebody was going to take me. But my vision of Buffalo was, I just saw snow and ice and cold. And I'm thinking, you know, I've lived all my life in Alabama. I don't know about Buffalo, but hey, take me. I'm ready to come. But in the back of my mind, I'm saying, man, this is not going to work. So they drafted me, and I go up there, and you know, I took the same, you know, work ethic that I had established at Auburn, and worked hard. And I was so surprised. I didn't even know what was going on, because I was just part of I was like a cog in the machine. I was just doing my job, and the next thing I know, we go through training camp, and Coach Knox says that we're going to start. Now, I had no idea. I was not thinking that at all, but he gave this young rookie a chance to play and start, and you know, things kind of went from there. I did very well, but I think it was all because I stopped taking things for granted. I started, you know, to work and try to earn my keep. But you know, I remember in Buffalo, one quick little side story is that Chuck Knox was the coach in Buffalo my rookie year, and he was just a really, really brilliant coach. I mean, You know, he was one of those guys. I guess the way we would phrase it, he was a player's coach. He's the kind of coach that players can relate to, you can talk to. He'll listen to you, he'll see your point of view and give you a chance to explain, if there's something that needs to be changed. And that's the way he was. And so we had a pretty good relationship. And I can remember the first time I had to deal with the elements of Buffalo. And if you haven't been to Buffalo in the winter, that's an interesting thing to do. I remember I was living in East Aurora, which is a suburb right outside of Buffalo, and we had some snowfall a couple of times, since I got there. Because you got to remember, I reported to camp in July. So it was nice. 80 degrees, no humidity at all. It's just perfect weather to play football in. It's just great. But as we got into late fall to winter, things started to change. So we get a little snowfall, nothing major. But I didn't realize that I was living in what they call a snow belt. So snow belt is an area off Lake Erie where all of the weather kind of flows that way, and you can get snowfall. You can get a foot or two of snow in no time. It just drops because of the moisture coming off Lake Erie. So I'm right in the middle of that. So this we normally have to be at the stadium at I think it was like 8 o'clock. So I'm in East Aurora, and my clock goes off. I look out the window, and there's at least 2 feet of snow. The snow is about that high, about 2 feet of snow. So I look out, my driveway is just filled with snow. I just roll over and go back to bed. Because I'm thinking, 2 feet of snow. Alabama, we shut down over last week about an inch. So it's about 8:10. I'm supposed to be there at 8 o'clock. So about 8:10, my phone rings, and it's my position coach, my running back coach, Elijah Pitts. So he calls me. He said, Joe. I said, where are you? I said, Coach. I said, it's snow everywhere outside. Have you looked outside? He said, the roads are clear. He said, you just got to get out your driveway. All the roads are clear. So I actually get out and look out where the road, the actual main road, it's plowed, clean. My driveway's got all the snow in it. Now I got to dig my car out so I can get out of the garage. So I managed to get out and get there. So I come into the practice facility, and Coach Knox is up at the podium talking to the team, and it's like I'm coming in where that exit sign is, and I'm trying to sneak in, quietly. And he waits till I get about halfway, and he calls me. Cribs, where have you been? And then he says, I should fine you, and which they don't mind finding players up there. They'll take your money quickly. So he said, I should fine you, but I'm not. And the only reason why I'm not fining you is because you are from Alabama. He let me go. He let me slide. But that was one of those deals. He was one of those guys, those coaches that he'd give you the ball 30 times, and then he'd talk to the media, would say, well, is Cribs carrying the ball too many times? Don't you think you're gonna wear him out? And he'd say something like, football's not heavy. But anyway, so I went on. I had a good NFL career, You know, we did well. I won some honors and those kind of things, but you know, the thing I really cherish most about my NFL career is the opportunity to fellowship with some great players, and you know, I can remember the first time. You know, I don't know how you feel about this guy, but you know, the first time I met O.J. Simpson, you know, was up there, and he was a guy that I kind of idolized a little bit as a great football player, and he was my rookie year. He came back to one of the games, and we were talking, and he just so happens I had his old locker, so he came over and was talking to me about that, and I thought that was kind of neat because I'm still this little kid from Soldier, Lamar County, you know, and about a year later, I had gotten married, and we had made the Pro Bowl. We were on our way to Hawaii for the Pro Bowl, and I was connecting flight in LAX in Los Angeles, and so my wife and I we're rushing trying to catch our next flight, and I hear somebody yell out, "Hey Cribs! Hey Cribs!" And I look up, and it's O.J. Simpson yelling at me, and my wife says, "Well, I guess you made it now." But a lot of great memories from my playing days, and you know, I could go on and on about different stories. I've got several stories I could share with you, but I know we probably don't have enough time. So what I'm going to do is maybe give you guys an opportunity to ask me some questions. But before we do that, I just want to say one thing, and this is something that, well, it's not going to be one thing because I can't do one thing, but this is something that that I have emphasized with my kids, and we talked about it many times, and it's kind of like this is the way we got to live our life, and I tell them that, you know, if you ask my kids right now, they say, what's your dad's favorite saying? It will be something along this line: many roads lead to the same destination. It is a phrase that I've used countless number of times with my kids when they start giving me some excuses. And I have lived that myself because, you know, success is not always straight ahead. You know, I mean, if you have a destination, you don't always get it by going straight to it. You know, many roads lead to that same destination. So you might have to go this way, around this way, and come back to get to whatever that goal is. But if you keep that goal in sight, you can achieve it. So many roads lead to the same destination. And that's something that I've kind of emphasized with my kids, is that when they start talking about wanting to give up on something or having you know, we all have setbacks. I've had setbacks. I had setbacks from day one. I mean, I wanted to quit when my brother was hitting those baseballs at me. I wanted to quit, but I couldn't, you know, and you know, not making the travel squad at Auburn, I wanted to go home, but you know, that was a setback. It was just an obstacle, and I figured out how to get around it. Now, I'm going to say I had a very smart young lady that heard me tell this story about many roads leading to the same destination, and she talked to me afterwards, and she told me, she said, "You should add this. Many roads lead to the same destination, but all roads lead somewhere." So, I mean, if you think about it, especially for you young people, I mean, your future's ahead of you. I mean, there's opportunity ahead of you. There's a lot of things that are out there for, you know, you're gonna end up somewhere. I mean, when you think about it, all roads lead somewhere, so you're gonna end up somewhere. why not create that destination? Why not focus on that goal that you want to achieve in life and start making plans to get it? Know what I'm saying? Okay, I'll take a few questions. If no questions, I'll be going back to Birmingham. No, somebody's got some questions, right?
I got one.
All right.
What's the hardest you ever been hit?
The hardest I've ever been hit, I've been asked that question several times, so I know I've got the answer. Actually, it was a linebacker named Buddy Curry. He played at Clemson, and he played for the Atlanta Falcons. And the hit happened when he was with the Atlanta Falcons. I was with Buffalo at the time, and we ran we ran an I formation with a lead play, just a regular blast. Lineman turn out, center man's up, and fullback leads in on the inside linebacker. And my fullback tripped in the hole and fell right in the middle of where I'm supposed to go. So as I take the ball, I see him go down, and so my instinct is that I gotta go over the top. So I didn't jump high, but I had to get over him. And as I got off the ground, you know what they say, once you leave your feet, you can only go one way, straight ahead. So he caught me, Buddy Curry caught me in my jump, and just kind of took me all the way back on my back into the ground, and took all the wind out of me, and that was probably the hardest hit I've ever had.
What was the signing bonus?
Signing bonus? Which one? I signed a lot of contracts.
The first time, right at all.
Out of Auburn, my signing bonus at that time, when I got drafted by the Buffalo Bills, was $250,000.
Whoa, hello.
That's not a lot of money. That's not a lot of money, man. It's really not. But wait, let me say this now. It might seem like a lot of money, I mean, and I think it is a lot of money. Let me change that. It is a lot of money. And I think the most important thing the education, the experience that I got from the NFL and my younger days was the reason why I'm in the profession that I'm in today. I'm in the insurance and financial service industry and I do a lot of work with athletes, showing them how to not blow their money, not buy depreciating assets, don't get caught up in that. And I do think that $250,000 is a lot of money. I mean, it is, and should be used right.
Played in the famous backfield at Auburn. Can you tell us about the other guys that you played with there? Okay,
yes, I was part of what is known as the ABC backfield when I was at Auburn, and that was William Andrews, James Brooks, and Joe Cribbs. So they kind of coined the phrase the ABC backfield. I mean, those two guys are like brothers to me in a sense. I talk to James all the time. We probably talk at least once a month. He lives up in right outside of Cincinnati, and Andrews lives over in Atlanta. When I went to Auburn, you know, one of the guys that kind of took me under his wing and kind of showed me around and kind of, you know, told me how things go, what the ropes were, was William Andrews. He's a great team player. He was a great team player. He's still a great person. You know, I was just fortunate to be with those guys. Brooks was, if you think I'm cocky, if you think, and I know some people say I'm cocky, but I use that to really kind of like tell my story. I use a little cocky attitude, but I'm not really cocky at all. I'm kind of quiet. But James Brooks is legitimate. I mean, he was my roommate when I was at Auburn on the road, and I would just watch it. I just listened, but he was the kind of roommate that would get you excited because he always talked about, man, I'm going off tomorrow. I'm going for 150. I'm going for 150. What you gonna do? I said, I'm gonna get 150 too, maybe. You know, so it was always that kind of competition between him and I. But great guys, great individual guys. Love them to death. Okay.
Alabama recruit you too back in the day?
Yes, I really. It kind of came down to realistically, it was really, am I gonna go to Auburn? Am I gonna go to Alabama? Because I wanted to stay inside the state. And to be honest with you, I just did not want to go to Alabama because Alabama was on the top. They were winning. They were running wishbone, which I didn't want to play. I didn't want the wishbone. And the other reason, and probably the main reason, was Ken Donahue came to Sulligent and talked to my high school coach. And even though I know, and I've already said that I had to change my attitude and I had to change the way I went about my business on the football field, I had to change that to really be successful at Auburn. He told my coach that. He said that if I wanted to play at Alabama, I had to improve a lot. Which is true. It's probably true. I'm sure it's true because I had to do that at Auburn too. But I think if you're really trying to recruit somebody, you don't say that. You don't say that kind of stuff. You make them want to come. Once you get them signed, then you can say that, but not while they. So I didn't even take an official visit to Tuscaloosa. And the reason why was because I knew Tuscaloosa. I spent all my, we used to go to Tuscaloosa all the time. I'd go down there for a couple of games. It was, I knew everything about Tuscaloosa. And this is, let me tell you this is the other thing. When I was being recruited by Auburn, this is how the little white lies happen, okay. And sometimes you buy into that stuff. But when I was being recruited by Auburn, one of the recruiters told me that at the time there was 7 girls to every one guy at Auburn. Now I know that probably wasn't true, but it stuck in my mind. And by the way, I did meet my wife at Auburn, in Auburn. And she didn't go to school there. She went to school in Montgomery, but she was visiting, and we met in Auburn. So we have that. Anybody else?
Was there a defining moment when you were, after you did make the travel team, in practice for you that, man, this is the moment that was really special as I was going into that, getting on the travel team?
I think the moment that I made the traveling squad, because back then, remember, we had the JV, we had the junior varsity. So I was playing on the junior varsity. And then once they announced that I was moving up, I'm off the JV. Now my goals just shifted. My goal was to get off the JV to get on the regular team, and then my goal was to start. And I think by the end of the year, well, I know I started against Alabama, Georgia. I think it was like the last 4 or 5 games, maybe three or 4 games I started. But a lot of that was because we had some injuries, but hey, I never gave it back. Anybody else? Okay, I'm gonna finish up by talking just a little bit about, if this is okay, I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about the thing that's the biggest, and I thought somebody would ask me about this, is that, the big concern right now is the concussion situation with football, NFL, concussion lawsuit, and protocol and everything. and I, you know, I've been to a couple of other events like this, and I was asked, you know, about what my feelings were, and if I had to do it over, would I do it over? And you know, and I think I've already said that, you know, sports in general has been great for me. I mean, it's given me so much, and you know, it gave me a lot of opportunity. I mean, it didn't give it to me; it gave me the opportunity, you know. But to go to college, to get an education, to get a degree, you know, to develop as an athlete, you know, a lot of great positive things. And the only thing I would say is that I think the protocol would be different. I think that I would lean like towards not playing if these kind of things were not corrected. And I think the fact that back when I played, you'd get knocked out, which I've unfortunately got knocked out a couple times. And the protocol was like, how many fingers? How many fingers you know, how many fingers you got? Well, it's either one, you know, most of the time it's either one or two. You can guess. I mean, you know, you can guess. You got a 50% chance of being right. So, one. Yeah, you're good. He's good. But I think the concussion protocol is very good for athletes, and I think that when a guy is shaken up, that he needs to come out, and we need to make sure he's okay before he goes back in. That would be the only thing that I would you know, want to see corrected. And they're starting to do a better job of that, you know, in the NFL and in college. And it's coming. If it's not already, it'll trickle down to high school also. So. But it's a great game. If I had to do it all over again, you bet I would. Thank you, guys.
Kind of felt like Buffalo around here lately. If it gets much worse than that, I don't think I'd take $250,000 to move up there, Joe. If it gets much cooler. But we appreciate it. Thank you very much for coming this evening. I know you've had to come through some traffic and everything else on the way up here, so we appreciate that. Now I'd like to introduce our coach, Todd McNutt, to give an introduction of all of our coaches.
All right, first of all, just a couple of thank yous I got to send out. First of all, to Dr. Sutherland and the Board of Education, thank you for the support. Dr. McCoy, she couldn't be here tonight. She's on, well, did she make it? Hey, there you are. She's been traveling with my mother-in-law this week, so. And then the Lions Club for putting the banquet on. Bobby Taylor, he does a lot of work, a lot of leg work. Wendy Rushton for decorating all this. Didn't look like this about 12 o'clock this afternoon, so thank you to Wendy. And then the parents for allowing us to coach your children. You know, it's a passion for all of these guys that are up here. It's a passion or we wouldn't do it. So just thank you for the opportunity we get to coach those guys. And the players, we want to thank you for giving us, you know, your attention and allowing us to be part of your lives. So I mean, that's the reason we do it. It's not to win ball games. It's to impact your lives. So I think that's. I'm gonna forget somebody, but cheerleaders and band. Cheerleaders, thank y'all so much. Thank y'all so much. Y'all do a lot of things behind the scenes that nobody ever sees, and we appreciate that. And in the band, and then I'll get to the others later. Let me introduce the coaches. I would thank my wife, but she had to leave. My son had a basketball game, so all the wives, thank y'all too. I'll go ahead and thank you for all the coaches. Starting, I'm just going to go down the list right here. Adam Lawler, he's inside linebacker coach. Will Romine, running back coach. Mark Burleson could not be with us. He's taking care of wife and getting ready for baby to come home next week. Dusty Ball, he's a receiver coach. Alex De Leon sent me a text at 4 o'clock. Just got back from the doctor and he has the flu, so I told him not to come. He's our offensive line coach. Chuck Moody, right here's our defensive line, our special teams coach. Wayne Frazier, he's our secondary coach. Casey Fox, receivers coach. Ryan Brewer, offensive coordinator. Andrew Crisp, he's offensive and defensive line coach. Andy Lambert, outside linebacker coach. And Tyler Hallman helps with our signal calling on the sidelines and helps with our running backs. So those are our coaches. They do a great job. I couldn't do what I do without them. You got to support yourself with good people. So, and we've got that in place. And I'm going to go ahead and thank a couple more people that are in the line right here. David Albright and Kyle Russell. Will y'all please stand up for a minute? I'm going to give y'all a round of applause. These guys do all of our videoing, and you know, for nothing, they just do it because they love it. David, you've been doing it for 34 years. It's a long time, and they do a great job. I'm telling you, the quality of the video that they do, that we get from other schools, is second to none. So we appreciate what y'all do. Zach Getz was our trainer this year from Encore, and of course he had to leave us right before the end of the season. But thank him, he did a great job. We've never had an athletic trainer on site at all of our practices. I mean, we have one available at all time. Beth is usually available at any time, but Zach was there, and just the relationships that he built with the kids and what he did on the field was exceptional, because believe me, we had tons of it this year. So he did a great job, so I want to thank him. And we got our managers and our ball boys, and we'll get to those and get out cars. But just thank you for all of the attendance tonight, and Wendy, you're up next.
First, I'd like to thank the Lions Club for including us and allowing us to be a part of this, and Dr. Sutherland. She truly is a blessing to our community and our school. She listens to me constantly, and she's always supported us. Our school board, Dr. McCoy, and administrators, the office ladies. Hannah, thank you for not quitting on us because of us. And because Miss Judy's been out of town, you don't have certificates because we depend on her for those, so you'll get those later on this week. Mr. Albright, David Albright, he's my lifesaver in the summer when you see me on the street painting paws all the time. He brings stuff for us. He does everything for us we need. And since Coach McNutt doesn't like the microphone, neither do I, so we have to turn to him. He's the only person that'll talk on the microphone during pep rally, so I hope he doesn't ever turn us down, because between the two of us, I don't know what we'll do. So he actually has to speak for us sometimes. Coach McNutt and our coaching staff, they have been wonderful to us. No, everybody knows, no football staff really cares anything about having to deal with cheerleaders, especially when they practice in your field house, and we try to stay out of the way, but they have been wonderful to us. They always include us, they always take care of us, and they let us do our job, and they don't give us any problems. We try not to give them any problems. They've been great to us. My husband, he's my assistant coach, I guess. More so during the rest of the time. He helps Coach McNutt during football, but he has to put up with a lot. So my parents, I have the best parents. They allow me to trust their children. They trust me with their children. Like, we've not been to school all week, and I've missed them. Like, I was glad to see them because I'm used to seeing them every single day. I see them more than I see my own family. So I've missed y'all. We'll see each other plenty. We have basketball games like for the next 4 weeks straight, so every night. But I have the best parents. They support me. I very, very, very rarely have a problem. In over 10 years, I could probably count on one hand how many times I've just actually had big issues with parents. So that's a lot. You don't hear about that in many schools. So I have wonderful parents. I'm gonna call you girls up real quick. My freshmen are Sally Lakeman, Ashton McCullough, and Meredith Robertson. Maddie Palmer and Mallory Rushing. And Mallory's to thank for most of these decorations. She helped me all day, so. Our juniors are Hope Coleman, Mary Catherine Evans, Anna Grace Purser, and Allison Watkins. And our seniors are Emma Baggett, Heidi Henderson, Brooke Hood, Maggie McGee, Kaylee Stevens, and Gracie Talbert. Our Leo is also a senior. It's Leslie Wright, and she wasn't able to be here tonight. These girls have accomplished a lot this year also. They won great awards during camp, and we had 6 All-Americans. That's the most we've ever had at camp. We had 2 seniors, Heidi Anderson and Emma Baggett, that were selected to try out for staff. We won pep rally of the week one week. I think it was a senior pep rally. We placed 3rd in state, and it's not like we just had against, it was not just against 4A, we were actually against Spain Park, Vestavia. I mean, I'm not really sure how they figured that out, but so I was very proud of them. They did a lot, and I mean, that came with one of them having been on crutches the week of state, and then we went through a lot this year, but they've been wonderful to work with, and we're still going strong. We won't finish till probably end of February, and I scheduled tryouts last week for 1st of March, and already scheduled camp, so it's kind of year-round, so we just keep on going.
That's really good. So, Antonio Reyes. Cal Taylor. Jared Gravitt Tucker. Devin Carter. Nick Sadler. Austin Pope. Christian Manasco. D. Wallace. Kian Jones. J.T. Locke. Kate Lewis. That's our senior class. Appreciate you guys.
I have the privilege of coming tonight on behalf of the Haleyville Lions Club. Since the early 1950s, the Haleyville Lions Club has presented each senior football player and cheerleader with a gold football in remembrance of their time spent here at Haleyville. And I bet if we ask how many former players still have their gold footballs, most of them would still have them. So it's just something we bestow on you to remember your time here at the school. You have a wonderful opportunity growing up in a small town like this, and as Joe has presented to us tonight, the opportunities are only what that you limit yourself to. It's hard work and dedication. There's nothing in life that's free. And if you work hard enough, you can accomplish whatever you want to. So tonight, I will go in alphabetical order because that's the way I have them listed here. I will present a go football to each senior, and then we'll get the cheerleaders up here. Devin Carter. Not here, okay. Sorry about that. Jared Gravitt Tucker. Ian Jones. Cade Lewis. J.T. Lawler. Christian Manasco. Austin Pope. Antonio Reyes. Nick Sadler. Cal Taylor. You know, Cal got inducted to the Lions Club at an early age. He was a little bitty boy and he used to go to football cookouts and help us out when he wasn't even big enough to play football. But he turned out to be quite a good football player before it was over with. And last but not least, D. Wallace. Thank you, gentlemen. And now for our senior cheerleaders, Emma Baggett. Heidi Henderson. Brooke Hood. Maggie McGee. Kaylee Stevens. Gracie Talbert. And I've given Miss Wendy Leslie Wright. She was not able to be here tonight. Thank you all so very much.
I'm giving out the awards for the academic MVP by class. This award is given to a player in each class that has the highest GPA. For the sophomores, Branson Lamb. Junior, Scott McAlpin. And we had a tie in the senior class, Cal Taylor, Nick Sadler.
I've got the award for most outstanding offensive skill, and this year it's a tie between two guys. First one is Scott McAlpine. He had 1,945 yards passing and 13 touchdowns, and 198 yards rushing with 4 touchdowns. And a lot of those passing yards went to Cal Taylor. Cal had 56 receptions for 897 yards and 5 touchdowns.
I'll be giving out most improved offensive skill, Nick Sadler.
I'm giving out 2 awards. The first one is the most outstanding offensive lineman, and that goes to JT Lawler. Secondly is the most improved offensive lineman, and that is Kean Jones.
I'm going to give the most outstanding defensive skill position. Occasionally you see a kid that's just got instincts, and when you turn on the film on this guy and he's up at the line of scrimmage making a tackle, as a coach you're thinking, oh my goodness, they're fixing to burn him. But then they try to burn him and he's back there making a play on that ball too. So most outstanding defensive skill is Jackson Kennedy.
I'm supposed to present the most improved defensive skill awards, and the young man isn't here, but I'm gonna go ahead because he did a great job recognizing Devin Carter.
All right, I'm presenting most outstanding defensive interior. It was kind of a tie. We couldn't hardly decide which one deserves it because they both deserve it. But these 2 guys they were dependable. They've been dependable for a couple of years. You knew they knew what was going on, but also they was gonna get their job done. And that is defensive end D. Wallace. And linebacker Cal Taylor.
Okay, I'll say this. My first award I'm giving out is most improved defensive interior, and that deals with the defensive line and the interior linebackers. But I'll say this too. Without that group of senior defensive linemen, D. Wallace, Austin Pope, Max Shickles Early, and Ken Jones, I couldn't give this award because they do a great job every day in practice of showing these young guys how they're supposed to do things. So I really appreciate that group of seniors. But the most improved defensive interior lineman this year was Matthew Stevens. The next award I'm giving out is the Bandit Special Teams Award. And this kid for 4 years, 3 years as a starter, and his 9th grade year as a part-time guy, has gave us a weapon, special teams wise, that most high school teams don't have. And we were very blessed on kickoffs to have guys who kick inside the 10 every time. You know, that's a blessing to have as a high school coach. So, Antonio Reyes, award goes to you.
All right, this next award is permanent team captains. The previous awards have been voted on by the coaches. You know, every coach put in a vote for the awards, and that's how we came up with that. But these two awards right here, early in the summer, we cast a vote, and these guys were voted as permanent team captains, and they are JT Lawler and Scott McAlpine.
The next award is the Line Award. This award goes to an individual who is as productive outside of the game, getting ready for the game. He's going to be there in practice. He's going to always do what he's supposed to. He's always going to give the effort that's needed, and just a hard worker, a kid that's fun to coach. And that award goes to Nick Sadler.
All right, the David Albright Award, we started giving this one in honor of David just for the countless things that he does and doesn't want any recognition for it, but he's all the time doing something for somebody else. And so we started naming this for our practice player. This is a guy that at practice gives everything. He may not step on the field on Friday night, but at practice he's going to give us everything he's got. And this year it goes to Christian Manasco.
The next award is the Bobby Lee Long Award. This is a memorial award we give out to the outstanding sophomore every year. It's in memory of Bobby Lee Long, who played here and left this world a little bit too soon. Great player, but also was a great individual off the field. This young man did a lot of things for us this year. We'll be looking for him to do a lot of other things for us next year. That goes to Jackson Kennedy.
It's my honor to give the Earl Frank Walker Award for this year. Award goes to someone who, through citizenship, scholarship, effort, all the things we talk about in high school sports. The person that's going to get this one don't have to fake it, because he just walks around. And he's the Earl Frank Walker Award winner, Nick Sadler.
All right, there's a couple of special honors that I want to give out there here. I want to recognize our managers. I know one of them is here. Rick Hope. Carter Burns. And then I had some ball boys, and I think one of them, two of them are playing basketball. Cooper McNutt, my son, Boston Brewer, Tanner Burleson, Wilson Frazier, and the only one here, Sawyer Sparks. Couple more people I want to recognize. I want to thank the radio station for what they do. You know, Friday mornings we get to go to the Leo preview, and then what they do broadcasting the games every Friday night. Appreciate that. Craig, y'all do a great job. And Butch, Barry, appreciate it. Harold, thank you for posting stuff on HBTV. And then, if you come to or see a Haleyville field, it looks better than you go when you go to most places. And countless hours are put into that, and it's not by the coaches. We try to help out as much as we can, but most of the time it's usually done before we even get out there. But David Albright, Tyler Hallman, you have some special guests sometimes, Michael Humphreys, And then Dylan Burleson at times had helped out, Trey Williams would come help out. But anyway, David and Tyler are the staples to that, and they make the field look like it is, so appreciate y'all for everything y'all do.